Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Beach Connections session, one of many. We are in our final sessions for July, but we have a pretty awesome representative here with us, Robert Ryan, who is from our Student Financial Services, who is going to talk to you all about paying for college, everything payment related, installment payments, things like installment plans, things like that. I know through parent and family orientation, we've had quite a few folks who have had questions about that stuff. From parent orientation, if you went to parent orientation, hi again, I'm Nina Luxon. I'm the program coordinator. So you will see quite a lot of me throughout the summer and throughout the academic year. So we really appreciate you all jumping on for today's Beach Connection session. A few housekeeping items before we officially get started. For everybody who is in the session, if you look at the very bottom of your screen, there is a tab that says More with three little dots. In there, you will see Q&A. If you have any questions throughout today's presentation, please submit them to that Q&A box. The Q&A box is really the best way for us to be able to track the questions and ensure that they are answered appropriately, and that you have the answers to your questions. If you put questions in the chat box, it is not as easy. We don't want any questions to get lost. So please, if you submit questions, submit them to the Q&A box at the bottom, which again, you can access by clicking on more, and then you will see Q&A as an option in the little chiclets there. Also, if folks throughout today's presentation could please remain muted, that would be very helpful just to minimize distraction and make sure that everybody is able to hear the information that Robert will be sharing. But without further ado, I will hand it over to Robert to begin the presentation, and then we'll do live Q&A at the end.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. My name's Robert Ryan. I'm the manager for Student Financial Services. And then we're going to go over our presentation today. It'll be pretty brief, and then we'll definitely have time for answering questions. So again, yeah, definitely, if you think of something, put it in that Q&A section, and we'll get to it at the end of the presentation. And with that, we'll jump right in. So Student Financial Services, it's comprised of the cashiering department, student account services, and disbursements. So we handle anything payment related, refunds, payments. That's going to be our department. We also handle installment plans. We do disperse the financial aid. We aren't the financial aid department, so we don't determine eligibility or anything like that, but we do work closely with them and make sure those refunds go out. We handle third-party sponsorships from the government as well as private entities. We're the ones that process the 529 College Savings Plan payments. And then we do dabble in issuing tax documentation like the 1098-T for qualified tuition and expense payments. And for students, they're going to really utilize the CSULB Student Center. The great thing about that is through their single sign-on, they'll be able to access anything in person. They have that ability to do online. So from a convenience standpoint, at any time, they can view their charges. They can view any account activity and history, making payments online, enrolling in payment plans, signing up for e-refund, which is something I definitely recommend doing immediately. For our students, if the university needs to refund them for a financial aid, or if they're just owed a refund from like an out-of-pocket payment that's not a credit card payment, it'll go back to the bank account on file. So I definitely recommend setting that up right away with the university to make things efficient and secure. Versus like a paper check being mailed, which just takes a little bit longer, and things could get lost in the mail. It's more out of our control. And then the last thing would be viewing your 1098-T tax documentation if you do qualify for that. And then a little bit about tuition and fees. We do have all of our tuition and fees posted on our website. To make it easy, you could always Google CSULB tuition and fees, and it'll bring you up to our webpage that has everything listed line by line to give you kind of a general sense. A couple of things to keep in mind that it's not charged per unit. Students who are enrolled in 0 to 6 units are considered part-time. and are charged that part-time rate. Anything greater than that will be charged at a full-time rate. So whether that's 7 units, 12 units, 15 units, it'll all be a standard full-time rate. We do have non-resident tuition, so that is charged per unit on top of the baseline part-time or full-time tuition. So if you are a student that is from out of state, and you're taking, like 9 units, you're going to be charged at the full-time rate plus an additional per unit charge of non-resident tuition. So just keep that in mind as well. It'll be notated on your student account. There'll be a difference between tuition and non-resident tuition. And then, of course, the big question, when is payment due? When students register for their classes, they'll be able to immediately go onto their student center and review their due date. As an example, for the fall 2026 semester, the payment deadline is going to be August 17th. So students are going to need to make sure that they pay down their balances by then, or enroll and be current in a payment plan, or accept financial aid to cover those charges. If your student is receiving financial aid releases 10 days before the semester begins. So that will pay down the balance prior to that due date. And if there's any excess amount of financial aid left over, that will be refunded back. And then disbursements are usually issued about the first week of the semester. So again, financial aid pays down the balance first, and then our office will work on refunding that back. To hopefully, again, you sign up for e-refund, so we'll send it to that bank account on file, or paper checks will be mailed out shortly afterwards. And then to review some payment options, the university does accept online payments. So there are e-checks, so that will just pull directly from your bank account. There's no service fee associated with that. You can pay online with a credit card, but please note there is a 2.65% fee. Other payment options would be like third-party payments, as I mentioned earlier. Like sometimes private companies will want to sponsor your student and make payments on their behalf. We will work with those companies and invoice on the back end. You can always get in contact with us, and we'll help facilitate that transaction. In person, our cashier's office accepts cash, check, money order, or debit card payments, as well as some folks will have a 529 college savings plans. They can send us a paper check and we can process that at the cashiering office. Or recently online, we do offer a good majority of college savings plans. We don't have all of them available to pay online, but if you don't see your specific plan online, just note that you can definitely work with your provider to send us a paper check. We'll get that processed. And then, of course, financial aid is a big component of your payment option. So if you have grants coming in, awesome. If not with grants, you can always work with our financial aid office to explore maybe loan options and things like that to help use a combination of all of these payment options to pay for your students' education. And then just to review some common questions. Number one, if I receive financial aid, do I need to pay by my assigned due date? So a student will not need to pay out of pocket. They can wait for their financial aid to pay down their balance. Again, financial aid disperses about 10 days before the semester begins. So for this fall 2026 semester, that'd be like the middle of August. It'll pay down the balance first, and then refund any excess amount back to you. Number two, if I don't receive enough financial aid to cover all my fees, when do I need to pay my portion? So in that case, the out-of-pocket payment would be due on the deadline. So for this semester, that'd be like August 17th. You wouldn't need to pay in full. The system's going to show that you owe everything, but that, you you know that, hey, I can see I have pending financial aid on my student center. It's going to cover, a portion. I'm going to subtract that amount from the total due, and I'll just pay that remaining balance. And of course, if you have any questions about financial aid status, you can always work with our financial aid department on campus. I think they're just about done with award packaging. Usually goes through the end of July, so it should be pretty soon. We'll have a very clear idea if you're going to be receiving aid, but you can always work with them about eligibility, or if you don't see any updates right now, it might be time to reach out to their office in the next couple of weeks just to double check everything's on track. But yeah, right around end of July, usually most things are packaged by then. And you'll see that on your student can pull up their My CSULB Student Center and view pending aid. Okay, number 3, I can't pay my balance all at once. Do you have payment options? Yes. So on the Student Center, your student can enroll in the payment plan. It'll show a preview of your new due dates and how much you owe before you even sign up. It is $33 to sign up for a payment plan. And then you just make sure that you pay by your assigned due dates to avoid any class cancellation or anything like that. Number 4, how do I get my aid to pay for my fees? So we do that for you. So that's going to be automatic. 10 days before the semester begins, the aid will pay down tuition and fees first. And then it will pay down any housing if your student happens to be dorming with us. And then again, if there's any excess amount after that, it'll be refunded via e-refund or a paper check. And our office is open. We're located in Brotman Hall. You can email us either student account services, cashiers, or disbursements. We have our phone number there as well. And then we're open from 8 to 5, and then the cashiering office will open from 9 to 5. So if you needed to make a payment in person, we'll be available there for you as well. And then I'll go to our last page. Will take you to a QR code. If you bring up that QR code on your phone, it'll take you to our website, or you could always Google CSULB Student Financial Services. We have all of our contact information listed, as well as how-to guides that include step-by-step directions with screenshots and videos. I know there's always a lot of information, so we try to make it as easy as possible from straightforward things like how to view your charges. We have those directions for you, so you don't have to memorize anything. We have those resources there. So definitely check out our website, kind of get familiar with some of these concepts, because I know it's a lot of information that you guys are all learning about the college experience. So we're here to help. Again, via email, phone number, in person, however you want to contact us, we'll be there to assist you guys. And then for anyone who joined in late, we do have our questions and answers box available. If you want to type in anything you have in mind, we can definitely go over any questions. So I'll just start reading through some of these, and let's see here. So we have someone who's paying by 529 college savings plan. So if you do need for the if you do need documentation to show that's like a qualified payment for tuition and expenses, a couple options for you. Students on their My CSULB Student Center can view their itemized statement. There's account inquiry, and then you can sort it by term or all history. So you can view your full activity, and then save that and print that out, or save it as a PDF and send that to your tax advisor. or you could email us as well, and we would send you the same information. So if anyone who needs to show documentation, whether it be a 529 college savings plan, or just if you need any documentation for what you've paid for, that's going to be available online on the Student Center. Your student will have access to their complete history for each term. Okay. Question 2, how would I know that my son's aid has been released to cover his tuition, dorm, and meals? Yeah, good question. Um, so again, about 10 days before the semester begins, financial aid is going to disperse onto the student's account. Um, by You can always view like your pending due charges or any activity on the student center. So when they log in, they can go to account inquiry, and then they'll be able to view all activity. So you'll see it like the day before. You'll see your charges due are still sitting there unpaid, and then once that aid disperses, you'll see that the charges are removed, and you'll see any remaining balance as well. Because maybe financially doesn't cover everything, but it'll pay like a good majority. You'll be able to go onto that student center, look at the account inquiry, and then be able to view like what your new due charges are, maybe that remaining balance that then you would pay out of pocket.
Robert, I have a quick question. Steering away from the Q&A for just a short second. A
Okay.
question that we get a lot in parent and family orientation is about how do students add parents as a paying party into their student portal, so that folks can access the student statements and things. That seems to be a question that I get quite often, and I was wondering if you could
Sure.
answer it.
Definitely, I can speak to that. Uh, there for the student center, that is just for the student. There's no like direct like parent portal that allows you to view like what your student gets to view. So if you do need like access to their like itemized statement, you're going to have to work with your student there. Um, the payment side of things, uh, when your student logs into their student center and they select make a payment, it'll take you to Illumia as like our payment processor. When they're there on that web payment provider, they can choose to invite you as like a guest. So you'll have access to that payment processor. So you won't be able to, you don't have the same access as a student does. So you can't like go generate an itemized statement, but you can make payments on their behalf. It'll show you like what's due, and then you can pay it. It just doesn't give you all the access, but because there's no dedicated parent portal. So your student, they do have the complete control over their own account. So if you do need more specifics, you can always work with them. I should note that you've probably heard it already, but it's called like a FERPA information release form. Due to federal privacy laws, it dictates we only speak with the student unless they authorize other individuals. Your student can fill that out on their student center to at least allow us to talk with a parent. They'll set up like a quick security question and answer. So if you wanted to call or email us, we're going to have to verify that your student has granted you authorization to speak on their behalf. And if they have, great, we can discuss, the details on their student account. But unfortunately, if they do not, we won't be able to dive into details. We can only give you kind of general, payment deadlines and things like that. So keep that in mind with your student. You will have to work with your student to get like more detailed information, because you will not have direct access to their student center.
Perfect. Thank you. And for everybody who may be asking about the FERPA information release or wondering about where to find that information, I put a link in the chat to the FERPA for Students page, and it has information about the FERPA information release and other things that might be helpful for you. So definitely take a look at that link and click on it if you are interested.
Great.
Cool. I think we can go back to the Q&A.
Awesome. The next question. What is a direct unsubsidized Stanford Loan 1? Is this allocated for tuition? When will this show in my student balance? That we might need to talk about maybe offline a little bit. since we're not the financial aid office, I'm not an expert in exactly like what type of loans each exact ones are. Uh, we do have a sponsorships program with Stanford. They do pay for some of the tuition, but this sounds like this might just be a loan. Um, but definitely reach out to us, and we can talk about that one a little bit more, just so we can get a better understanding. But generally speaking, if you accept loans and things like that, you'll see that as anticipated aid, and it will disperse to the student account automatically that 10 days before the semester begins. Students who do accept like subsidized or unsubsidized loans, they'll have to fill out like a promissory note and go through entrance counseling. And once those couple of checklist items are completed, then the disbursement will flow after that. And those items that their to-do list items are on their student center as well. They'll be flagged for like upcoming things that the student must do before that loan is fully dispersed. But definitely email student account services at csulb.edu. And we can definitely kind of go over your question a little bit more in detail with our staff, because it seems like that one's definitely a little more specific, maybe unique on the type of loan. Okay. The next question, can you give an example of what an installment payment plan looks like? 6 month, monthly, quarterly. Okay, yes. So we do offer the maximum payment plans are 4 installments. Although as of right now, it would be July, August, September, October. The first installment was just due this past week. So now, if a student were to like enroll in the upcoming week, they would see a 3-part plan for August, September, October. And then if they waited longer or didn't register until maybe like late August, they would see it would go down to 2 parts. It would be September and October. So just depending on the timing of when you register and when you sign up for a payment plan, the payment plans will shrink from 4 to 2 as the plan's due dates pass. And then and just as also a note on that, um, there's no the payment plans are set, so there's no like editing or like renegotiating. It's just when your student goes onto their student center and selects enroll in a payment plan, it will provide you the preview of the due dates and like what the amounts are. So there's no like changing it. But before you sign up, it'll be clear like, hey, this is what the dates are, and if that doesn't work for you, then there's no obligation to sign up for one. Um, Completely optional. Just it's something that can help, just so you don't have to pay such a large sum all at once. And keep in mind, it's $33 to sign up for a plan. Students who are from like out of state, they could sign up for 2 payment plans, because there would be one plan for their regular tuition and one for their non-resident tuition. So you can have 2 payment plans concurrently for those students who are like out of state for non-resident tuition. Let's see. The next one. What are the payment terms for payment options, and when should the balance be paid down in order to have the lowest payment? Okay, so similar question. So yes, it'll all be it's a rigid payment plan, so there's no editing the due dates. The earlier you sign up, the more installments will be available, just because it's divided between July, August, September, October for like this fall. And it'll be similar when we get to the spring semester. It'll be December, January, February, March. So if you're definitely interested in doing a payment plan, as soon as your student signs up, have them look at the enrolling in a payment plan to get the earliest dates. Okay, the next question is, believe that we accepted the regular FAFSA on the portal. Is it half of the 5,500 for the first semester and then the other half applied to next semester? Then whatever is left, we are responsible to pay. Okay. Um, we could definitely look at like what your anticipated aid is for your student. Uh, the 5,500, that might just be like total, and so you that would be like divided by two. Um, our office could definitely, you could give us a call, or as long as your student has filled out their FERPA information release form, or you could have your student give us a call. You could have your student email us. We could take a look at their account to determine. But when they log into the student center, they should be able to view anticipated aid, and then by term, just to double check that that 5,500 is for um, the full year or for each term. Um, Again, contact us. We can no problem take a look at that. We'll pull up the student ID. We'll take a look and see what's offered. Um, but it sounds like that might be the full amount, and then half is fall and half is spring. That's typically kind of how it works. Um, and then yes, you would be responsible for then paying the difference by like August 17th as an example for the fall semester. So if you have a couple thousand come in for fall, great. You don't owe the full 4,000. You'd owe like 2,000 out of pocket. Um, and you can decide on how you want to how you want to handle that as well, because you could sign up for a payment plan for that remaining half. You could do that as well after your financial aid disperses. The due date is like the Monday after financial aid disperses, so you could sign up for a payment plan like that Monday on the August 17th and push out your charges. So something to think about as well. And we're happy to discuss more with you offline for sure. Let's see. I don't see a dorm charge on my student's account. Should I wait until the charge is there before requesting a check for the 529? 529 is not supported in the payment platform. Okay. Um, yes, in this case, housing charges won't be assessed until like early August. So it'll be soon. It's usually about the first week of August. Um, for us in student financial services, we get that information from the housing department. Because every student is charged differently based on room type and meal plan type. So housing will let us know. We'll post those charges on the student account, and then from there, um, you would know the exact amount. I would recommend waiting in this case, just because you might not know like the exact amount, and we don't. Uh, the university doesn't act as a bank, so we're not going to like hang on to excess funding. So like we don't accept, like a check that's $500 more. It's not our place to be holding that. So we would turn around and refund you, and especially with the 529 savings plans, those you have to be a little bit more careful about overpayments, because then if we were to refund you back that money, since it's then not being used for qualified tuition and expenses, you'd have to like deposit that back into your 529 plan like immediately to avoid like taxation issues, because it would look like you were just pulling money out for your own personal expenses at that point. So I definitely recommend just wait for those charges. It'll be early August, and then we wouldn't cancel a student if they owed housing. The worst would be they could have an enrollment hold on their account for a non-payment, and could be assessed a $10 late fee. But if you're taking care of this in like the first week of August, it'll get to us in time before any like negative consequences occur. So not worried about that. It sounds like you're very on top of it. So no worries there. Just keep your eyes out early that first week of August. Your student's going to get a like an email notification as well when that anytime there's like new activity. So they're going to get like an automated email generated to them saying, hey, check your student account. And they'll be able to log into the student center and view their account inquiry, and they'll see the charges there. Okay. If I'm paying the tuition directly as a parent, will the 1098T be in my name? 1098T is going to be assessed assigned to the student, but it's going to be on their student record. Um, you, the thing to note about 1098T documentation, not every student gets one. Like if financial aid covers the majority, you're not going to get a 1098T tax form. It is truly like when you pay out of pocket for tuition qualified expenses, you're going to receive one of those. So just keep that in mind. We get that question a lot. But it's like if the government's giving you a grant, you can't then claim tax, credit for an out-of-pocket payment if the government gave you a full, Pell Grant or the state gave you a state university grant and paid everything. So just keep that in mind. Not everyone qualifies for one, and then it'll be the student's name will be on it, and you can always work with your tax professional if you have any like specific questions about that. Is the payment plan just for a semester at a time, or is it for the entire year? It's going to be for each semester, because the charges on the student account only will appear once your student's registered, and they only register for a semester at a time. So you would sign up if you're interested in sign up for payment plans. You'll do it each semester. So the best thing to do would be, okay, once your student enrolls in their classes, that's the time to go look into their student center. They can view their charges and then sign up for that payment plan. Okay. Would you be able to provide the timeline when the housing and meal plan be posting their charge? Yes. Okay. So that's yes, beginning of August, that first week you should see the housing charges there. Housing breaks it into they typically break it into monthly installments, so it would be September, October, November, December. Like usually like that at the very beginning of each month, almost kind of like rent almost, right? And then tuition and fees will be posted as soon as your student registers for classes. The charges immediately will show on their student center. Let's see. If a parent's income has been reevaluated and more aid is granted, when would that apply for next semester or next school year? That one, that's a good question for our financial aid office. For us in student financial services, we really are just focused kind of on payments and charges. I'm not an expert in financial aid because they have a whole department that's dedicated to that. That would be a good question to ask them for sure. Because I know they do have an income appeal form. So if circumstances change, I know students can fill out a financial aid form to get that reviewed again. I would definitely recommend speaking with the financial aid office on that one. They have a similar phone number to us. Uh, we're 562-985-5471. We're option 3. They're option number 4. So definitely give them a call. Or if you Google CSULB financial aid, I know they have on their website, they have resources, and that form's on their website as well. I just can't speak to it as I'm not an expert on that, but definitely look at their website, reach out to them. They can assist you for sure on looking at income appeals and things like that.
And I responded to that question as well from the Q&A box with a link to the Financial Aid and Scholarships Financial Aid Appeals webpage, which I'm also going to be putting in the chat if anybody else is interested in navigating that.
Great. Thanks, Nina. Okay, next question. Do the payment plans for housing? Oh, yeah. So typically, if you're not going to pay housing all at once, housing does let us know to post as a payment plan. So that's kind of the standard. It'll be monthly, September, October, November, December, like around the first of each month. They'll have those due dates. So it'll be broken up into 4 installments. Let's see. Is there a penalty for paying the installment plan late? Yes. So students who miss their deadlines can be assessed a $10 late fee. And then the more crucial thing is like for our major payment deadlines. So August 17th is for fall. Students who don't pay are at risk of having their classes dropped. So in a worst case scenario, if that was the case and you just didn't pay, uh, their classes would be dropped and they would have to try to re-enroll. Um, so I definitely recommend trying to, by the deadline because you don't want to be in that position. Students can try to re-enroll, but a lot of times there's like wait lists and they might not be able to get into the exact same classes or have to change their schedule around. And I know how hard that can be to, get that perfect schedule. So definitely recommend taking care of those payments on time, just to avoid any setbacks like that. Um, and if you are going to have issues, reach out to us. We can talk. But yeah, definitely, if students miss their deadline, that's we unfortunately have to cancel them from their classes. So um, definitely, especially when they're new, stress the hey, did you take a look at your student center right after you registered? What's your due date? Make just kind of get them into that habit of always just checking their account and making sure everything's okay. And as a courtesy, we will send out an email and like a text message to students if they are at risk of being dropped for non-payment of fees. But there's no, the university doesn't bill students because the charges are immediately on your student account as soon as you register. And it's the responsibility of all students to know that when their due dates are, all they have to do is check their student center and they'll see it. But we do try to send out some communications as a courtesy. Uh, and it's generally like multiple text messages and multiple emails. So just make sure your students are also just checking their phone, which I'm sure that's probably not hard for them. And then their emails as well from campus, very important. We do our best to make sure everyone is very aware of everything. Okay. Next, we have to ask the 529 providers to issue checks that match the charges. Can we combine a few charges and ask the 529 to just issue one check? Yeah, they can definitely send one check. That's completely fine. For instance, if your student was living in the dorms, they would have housing charges. You can combine that with tuition and fees because on the student center it'll show like hey, this is your grand total. You can match that. That's completely fine. As long as it's again, you're paying for qualified tuition expenses, that which tuition and housing charges on the student account definitely qualify for that. And then yeah, you would just reach out to your 529 provider, tell them the amount, make sure that they put like the student ID number on the check or the usually they'll have like a little info statement attached with that check, and then we'll get it processed as soon as it comes in. Okay, that is all on the Q&A. Were there any questions in the chat?
There were a couple, but again, folks, if you have questions, please submit them to the Q&A. Yes, please submit questions to the Q&A. If you click at the bottom of your screen where it says more, that might be where it is, and that's the best way for us to track questions. So if you have questions, please submit them through there. Somebody was asking, is it too late to request a student loan? Or I don't know if that goes through financial aid, correct?
That would be a good question to ask financial aid. Yeah, I'm not sure on the timelines on that. But again, financially, that's all they handle. That's a perfect question for them. They can walk you through those steps. And there are different types of loans as well. So, they can give you more information about, hey, maybe it's a private loan versus a subsidized or unsubsidized loan. There's Sally Mae loans. There's a lot of loan information, and that's just not in our wheelhouse because we're dealing more on the payment side of things. But again, a dedicated office is to all these kinds of awards and loans, so they'll be able to assist you with that for sure.
Perfect, thank you. We've gotten two questions asking about payment installment plans again. So if you could just run through it maybe again. I think we had a couple of folks join on of what
Yeah,
installment payments look like.
definitely. So once your student enrolls in their classes, that's when like the charges will appear on their student center. So they can log in to the student center and then they'll select enroll in the payment plan. It'll show you a preview of your new due dates and how much you owe on each date before you even like register for a plan. Um, and then there is a $33 non-refundable fee for setting up a plan. Um, for those students who are non-residents of California, they'll be charged that non-resident tuition. So they could have two payment plans going concurrently, one for their basic tuition and then one for their non-resident tuition. Um, but the main thing is just make sure your students enrolled in classes, and then they'll be able to view that payment plan information. It'll show that breakdown, and then it'll be really clear on the due dates, and you just make sure you pay on time, and there'll be no issues. Okay, and then in the Q&A, it looks like we got a few more coming in here. I'm still good on time. Okay. So under my account inquiry, it shows one amount, and when I choose to set up a payment plan, the amounts are totally different. Huh. It should be that should be a similar like the same amount like you see in your account inquiry. The payment plan, it will add $33 to the charge, and it doesn't include the student health fee. That's just not bundled into the plan, so there could be a small difference of that, but there shouldn't be like it shouldn't be a large. You shouldn't see like a large difference. It would be just the student health fee. So subtract that out of the plan, and then plus an additional $33. That would be it. So if you had questions or something that just looks weird, give us or make sure your student has filled out their FERPA information release form, and then give us a call or have your student call us or send us an email. Housing is covered by the 529 up to the college estimate. Can you claim the full amount if the cost exceeds the estimate? Yeah, if your student's dorming, they'll have their exact amount for their housing charges like on their account. So you'll be able to pay. You can use your 529 to pay that exact amount. That estimate is an estimate, and it will be used for 529 purposes. If a student were to not live on campus, but if they are just living somewhere off campus, like renting somewhere, that's where that cost of living estimate can exceed. So even if their rent off campus is higher, you can't claim. You can only claim the maximum amount from the cost of attendance. And I know 529s can be a little complicated like that. I definitely recommend usually each provider will have like a frequently asked questions, or if you even like Google that, it'll give you a breakdown and kind of walk you through that depending on each situation. But if they're being charged on their student account, like you can use your 529 to pay whatever that housing cost is on their account. Let's see. The next question is the housing due on the first of every month. It just about you'll when the housing charges are posted on the student center, it'll show the exact due date. Even now, I think if you Google CSULB housing to take you to their website, they have their housing charges posted, but just as a general blanket statement, it's due like right around the beginning of each month, whether that's the first or the second. It can depend, but I know housing has posted that on their website, and then you'll see it officially once those housing charges are actually posted on the student account, and that'll be like beginning of August, that first week of August. Yeah, and it looks like someone's asking about directions to help like find like where you owe and can look at installments. Definitely the QR code will take you to our website, or you could always Google CSULB Student Financial Services. And we have on our website how-to guides that list step-by-step directions with screenshots as well as videos to show you exactly where to go. So you don't have to like memorize anything. You can just watch that like the 30-second video or kind of go through a couple of those screenshots. But basically, as soon as they log into their student center, um, there's a finance section, and you'll see different options like making a payment. You'll see options like the account inquiry to view charges, as well as like enroll in a payment plan. So it'll all be on that student center, but we do have the screenshots and videos to kind of walk you through step by step. If that makes it easier for sure. Let's see. If the tuition is paid by the student loan, will my daughter get a 1098T? Generally not. Any types of awards, loans, grants, they won't. A 1098T won't be available. You can always work with your tax provider. If sometimes they might request like an itemized statement, that's totally fine. Students in January, like the end of January, students who do qualify will be able to go onto their student center and select view 1098T. And if they qualified, it will be there. If not, they didn't qualify, and your tax provider might ask for like an itemized statement or something. But that's really the bottom line. It's by the end of January, your student can log in. If they have one, great. If they don't, they didn't qualify. Let's see, normally how many business days does it take for the university to process a check sent from 529 once it's been received? We process generally same day. If during peak times, at most it would be the next day, but that's pretty rare. It's always as soon as we get it, we process it. So it's a quick turnaround on our end. Let's see. My student's not attending SOAR until August 17th. I would not know what class he's registered, any final balances until financial aid is distributed. I believe my 529 needs the proper balance for qualified expenses. Yeah, in that case, you would have to wait until the student registers. Students who register for classes like on or after the payment deadline, you'll see a due date of the next day. But they're going to be okay from like like for us to drop students for non-payment of fees. We're only looking for students who owe a balance as of August 17th. So if your students registering, then they're going to be, their due date would be August 18th. So we're not looking at those students. We're looking on anyone who owes from August 17th. Because a lot of those students have registered since like the end of March, right? So it's been like months and months. So those are the students we're looking at that could potentially be dropped from their classes for non-payment because they've had 5 months to make a payment. But for students who are just registering, you're going to be okay. You can wait. We do a final cancellation of classes for non-payment in like September during the university's census date. That's about 6 weeks into the semester. That at that point, students no longer have access to self-service, so they can't just add or drop classes. So everyone's pretty like much locked in, and we do one final kind of cleanup. So if you hadn't paid, till the end of September, that's when your student, like, we might drop them from classes for non-payment. But that gives you plenty of time to work with your 529 provider and get the required payments in. So nothing to worry about there. We do know that some students do register like really close to the start of the semester, and they won't be negatively affected from a class cancellation standpoint. Great. I think that's all right now in the Q&A. Did anyone else have any final questions?
I don't think we do. I think you answered them all, Ryan. So thank you so much.
Of course.
I appreciate it. If anybody else has any lasting questions, now is the time. While we do that, I'm going to go ahead and drop a few links into the chat. So we've dropped a few links, and one of them is for parent and family orientation. If you have not already attended parent and family orientation, I would highly suggest it. It is very helpful for folks who have students that are incoming. We cover a lot of information, including some stuff from Student Financial Services, and Robert Ryan has a cool video that we show about Student Financial Services and various other campus departments. So definitely attend. We also have our Beach Family newsletter. That is the primary way that we communicate with all parents and families. It is our bi-weekly newsletter. So if you would like to sign up for that, please do. And then lastly, this presentation was recorded. So we record all of our Beach Connection sessions and then we post them online. So they will be posted on YouTube tomorrow if you would like to review any of the information that was discussed today. Yeah, I would definitely suggest checking out the video. I know we just got another question about installment plans. I think we talked about it a few different times, so I would definitely check out this website where it has the QR code for resources. Thank you, Robert, for providing that. And then again, this video will be posted tomorrow for folks to review at a later time. But with that, Robert, is there anything else you want to say before we end?
No, just welcome to the beach. Again, feel free to visit our website, take a look at all of our resources we have there. We try to make it as easy as possible because we know there's a lot of information. And yeah, have your student fill out that FERPA information release form. Reach out to us if you need anything. We're here to help and make sure your student has a successful time here. And we want to make sure it's as easy and smooth as possible. So definitely, we're here to help. So thanks for taking the time to come to this session and get educated about all this. And we'll talk, I'm sure, soon.
Very soon. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.